ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Buffalo SportsCenter. I am Don, and today, Cal and I are talking about the Buffalo Sabres and them actually making a move. Cal?
Can you believe it? I mean, this is a big hire for the Sabres. The Sabres, they haven't done something of this magnitude in so long in the front office. I mean, I'm actually excited for the first time in a while. There's been rumors all over the place over the last couple days now because of this hire. Sabres could be in on this guy, in on that guy. Names that we haven't heard, some names that we have heard the entire season, last season, that we didn't think could be possible. Now they are.
Yeah, and it's all because Kevyn Adams, and I think we gotta, before we delve into the depths of this episode, we gotta give Kevyn Adams a lot of credit here. He brought in a former general manager, lots of experience, that not only can be a good advisor to him, give him a different perspective than what he's already got, but Jarmo Kekalainen, he's a guy that could take his job very easily. He's got the credentials, he's got the name recognition around the league, respect, legitimacy, so this is pretty ballsy for Kevyn Adams.
Yeah, I mean, you look at what he's done in Columbus, and you just got to be excited if you're a Sabres fan. Like, this is a guy who has respect among the league. He can actually, be a good voice in the system, somebody who's not scared to go pick someone up, somebody who's not scared to go make moves. Again, we've heard all of Kevyn Adams' tenure that he's not respected within NHL GMs, NHL front offices. So this is a big move. The only issue is you did say he's a candidate to maybe take Kevyn Adams' job after this season. Does that create a little bit of, tension in that room? A front office that was described to us as very smooth. I mean, as inept as they've been, they've seemed to get along pretty well, and they've all kind of agreed. Does this kind of throw a wrench into that?
Well, yes, but also I think that's necessary. There's a lot of podcasts out there, but I was listening to Craig Rivet, Andrew Peters, a few weeks ago on their podcast on Spotify. And they were talking about how sometimes you need to be pushed. You need to be challenged. Right now in that Sabres front office, it may be smooth, but no one's challenging each other. No one's pushing each other. There's no new perspectives. They're all just in agreement. And the problem is they've all been wrong. They may be in agreement about the wrong thing. And by bringing in Jarmo Kekalainen, someone that has done this before for over a decade plus, and he's got a couple more decades worth of experience too, being a European scout and whatnot, that's all positive. We want him to push back. I want there to be a little tension. Kevyn Adams should not feel comfortable this year. This is his 6th year, and the Sabres have 0 playoff appearances under him. He shouldn't be feeling that this is all a smooth process anymore. He needs results. He needs to feel that there's a fire under his ass, and doing something like this shows that he's ready for it.
Yeah, and I think this is someone who could stand up to a guy like Terry Pegula, stand up to the system, the system that you said just kind of goes along with whatever's thrown at them. I was a little nervous when they hired Eric Stahl, because it's one of those things where he's one of Kevyn Adams' buddies. He's one of those guys that again, you hear on the internet, all of a sudden it's the Carolina Sabres. It's all these guys that, defeated the Sabres in the Eastern Conference Finals that broke our hearts back in the day. Now they're coming up and destroying the front office and keeping this team out of the playoffs. But it seems like this could be our first little taste of, a little disruption in that front office, and it's much needed, absolutely much needed. I think we should start to get into some potential names that the Sabres could now look to sign or trade for in this offseason, because all of a sudden, it's wide open, right? There's a little bit more respect among the Sabres. I know there's been the discussion about the taxes and, especially with the Florida Panthers being as dominant as they are, it's been a discussion. Again, I'm not going to put too much on that. JJ Peterka, he brought it up a little bit in a German podcast he was on. But do you feel that the tax situation is going to continue to hinder the Sabres? And who do you think the Sabres, could potentially target now?
So, in regards to the tax situation, I like to point out that nobody wanted to go to the Florida Panthers for a decade plus. Before they brought in Bill Zito as their general manager, nobody wanted to go there. It's not like Florida didn't or had really bad taxes in the last decade, that one decade where they couldn't bring anyone in. It's just they weren't winning. This is a matter of winning or not. Let's look at the Buffalo Bills, too. No one wanted to come here.
No.
All it took was to bring in a unicorn, generational quarterback in Josh Allen, and for a winning, good, positive culture and a structured management team. That's what the Bills have. That is enough to get over the whole tax problem. And another thing about the whole tax situation, we're not the only New York team. It's not as if the Sabres are the only team who have to deal with this problem. Let's look at the New York Rangers or the Islanders or the New Jersey Devils, Anaheim Ducks, San Jose Sharks, the LA Kings, anyone in Canada. All of those teams have tax problems. And yet some of those teams still find a way to bring in players. You don't hear their fans constantly complaining about, oh, the Canadian dollar is weak, or, oh, the taxes here in California are absurdly high. That's not an excuse there, especially for those winning teams. Those winning teams win in spite of that. Why? Because this isn't a tax-centric league. This is a winning-centric league, and results bring in more players, which then creates a whole, domino effect, right? You know what I'm talking about?
100%. I think I completely agree, right? Because the tax situation, winning solves all. And
Yes.
and at the end of the day, the Sabres have not won for 14 years. Who wants to go there? Again, you look at a team like Toronto, they keep getting these, experienced veterans. It ain't doing them any good, but they keep, building on top of it, and they're able to get people, and it's a historic franchise. But again, once the Sabres start winning, once they make the playoffs again, I'll continue to bring up that season a few seasons ago. Missed by a couple points, right? They were one win away from making the playoffs.
1 point.
Could have completely shifted the direction of this franchise. You look at some of those guys that were on that team having success elsewhere. I go even further back. Evan Rodriguez. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's been a fundamental problem in the Sabres organization, and it has nothing to do with tax money. Again, a league that doesn't really have the contracts that the major leagues do either.
Yeah, and I would also have to say, there's a little caveat that critics may say to our comments about, oh, look at all these other teams that also are in tax bad states. And they may say, oh, but Toronto, New York, LA, those are bigger cities. Yeah. That is a natural pull within itself. Buffalo, it's not that. Buffalo is a much smaller city, not a lot happening here on most nights, and that also could feature in. But again, like we both have said now, winning cures all. The Bills don't seem to have a problem with this, do they?
Not at all. And again, it's comparing two different leagues, but I think you could easily compare both of them, and it's the same thing, right? If the Sabres go out, right, say they would have won the lottery and got Connor McDavid here, all of a sudden that completely shifts the franchise. All of a sudden you have a completely different situation. Instead, you get second, you get Jack Eichel, all of a sudden the locker room explodes, and the franchise doesn't make any progress, and we have become the league's joke.
Yeah, this organization is a joke. This owner is a joke. Everything about this team is an embarrassment. But we've said that already. Now let's talk a little bit about how Jarmo Kekalainen is going to change this. You had an idea. You wanted to talk about some names. What are some connections that you have seen that Kekalainen may, players that he could bring in?
Yeah, I mean, first things first, Eric Robinson, right? Now, all jokes aside, now that was his last move as, in the Columbus organization, trading him to Buffalo. But, I mean, all of a sudden we see Elias Pettersson, right? That rumor sparked back up. The Sabres could cycle back. And you have to think that, with this hiring, that was part of the reason, right? All of a sudden, wow, the Sabres have a respected name. Maybe they could actually make a trade. We've seen Kevyn Adams get fleeced over and over and over in trades, right? Maybe this is somebody who could bring a little bit more experience, a little bit more, namesake. You're the Sabres. You're going to have to overpay. Free agents especially, right? Nobody wants to come here. You got to overpay. They did it with Jason Zucker. It worked out. You can't do it too many times, right? Or you're going to end up in a cap situation. But
right.
For a team that doesn't spend enough money every single year, I'm not opposed to overpaying a couple $1 million for a good player. We bring up Mitch Marner. Mitch Marner, again, a long shot, could potentially happen. I highly doubt it, right? But he is a Bills fan. I got to bring that up. And again, it would make sense, right? The Sabres are missing one really good forward and certainly some defense problems as well. Bowen Byram. I think we got to talk about him too.
Yeah,
a guy who's completely gone, right?
Yeah.
I've been hammering the nail with the hammer on this for months now. And people, again, I was kind of rejuvenated in Sabres fans because I posted that on our story on Instagram a couple months ago. I said, Bowen Byram's gone from everything I'm hearing. And the amount of people fired up about that in the DMs, I mean, I could not believe it. How many people still cared about a move like that. So I was very excited to see that. But yeah, he's gone, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Now, with Kevyn Adams under the helm, what are you getting for Bowen Byram?
I think you need to get a first-round pick. I think what will happen, I think we'll get a first-round pick in, like, kind of squad player, maybe a third liner, maybe a low-tier second-pairing defenseman, but that's about it. You should be getting a first-round pick, someone that is just below his quality, but then you add like a B-level prospect. That's what you should be getting for Bowen Byram.
Yeah.
Because he's still got a lot of value around the league.
100%.
Like, I've been hearing St. Louis wants him, San Jose wants him. A couple of these teams out west, they really have a need. Chicago could also use a guy like Bowen Byram. It's unfortunate, though, that Bowen Byram, his skills are just expendable here.
Yeah.
His skills are pretty much the same as Owen Powers, which makes him a little redundant.
The Sabres need some bigger defensemen, some more defensive defensemen. Obviously, we've seen the defense has been so bad. So you gotta get one of those, bigger defensive defensemen back for him. But Bowen Byram, like you said, his value is through the roof. This guy is young. He's an RFA. He is very offensive minded, right? Like, we've seen when he scores in bunches. And if you could get him hot, the potential is endless. Again, the power play. He's a power play guy. He didn't have a whole lot of time with the Sabres there because, again, Dahlin's obviously your first guy, and Owen Power, they're trying to work him because he's a long-term plan, right?
Right, but he still got 40 points last season without playing on the power play. Think about that, folks. He could get another 10, 15 points. He hasn't hit a ceiling. And, well, to tie this all back to Jarmo Kekalainen, I know he's a forgotten figure now in this video, but I think he will have a few weeks to work with Kevyn Adams, and my hunch is that we'll see something happening on draft night.
Yeah.
That's what I think. I think something will happen draft night. That will be a very interesting week, folks, but I think that's it for us here today.
Yeah, 100%. I completely agree. Draft night, the Sabres very stagnant on draft night besides getting Beck Malenstein. I mean, that's an afterthought. I think this is a big hire that could change the direction for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. But, folks, thank you so much for watching this video. I was done. This right over here, sitting physically next to me, that's Cal. But thank you, folks, so much for watching. Hope to see you all in the next video whenever that may happen. And have a good day. Adios.